Hey guys, sorry, technical difficulties. My phone just like shut off for no reason, but I'm going to continue on what I was talking about in the first part of this video. And later on, when you do your comment, just comment to the part one of this video. But we were talking about Cassius and how he starts to lose heart. He's emotional, he's an Epicurean, but Epicureans don't believe that the gods intercede in man's affairs. But he's starting to believe these omens. He's starting to see omens, and he's starting to see them as signs that it's his time to go. It's his birthday. He feels like it's fitting after what he did to Caesar. Um, he was noticing that eagles had been flying around them this whole time. Then all of a sudden, the eagles are gone, and now there's these scavenger type birds that kind of they're harbingers of death. So that's all going on in his mind, and it's very fatalistic. And he's making decisions based on his emotions, which turns out to be very detrimental to him because he ends up committing suicide when, in fact, they hadn't lost the battle yet. They were still kind of tied. So it just kind of goes to show about it goes to show that you shouldn't make any important decisions, especially life-changing decisions, when you're emotional. But it does show how both Brutus and Cassius kind of fail in their philosophies at the very end, which shows that false philosophies that are not based on truth, they give you no hope, and they're nothing to stand on in the very end, and when you're facing death. So I wanted to kind of give a little bit of extra background. So this is now going by like the historical data of what really happened, because this was actually based on Julius Caesar's real assassination. So as we know, Mark Antony was one of Julius Caesar's generals during the time when he was fighting in the Civil War, and during the conquest of Gaul. And this was during the first triumvirate. And just to remember, make sure you have this in your notes. The first triumvirate was Pompey, Crassus, and Julius Caesar. Okay. Now there's a second triumvirate, and we know that this is Lepidus, Octavius, and Antony. And these three come together as a three-man dictatorship. And they wanted to avenge Julius Caesar's death. And all three of them were generals at one point for Julius Caesar. Even Octavius was one of Caesar's generals, and he's also his great nephew and adopted son. And Lepidus was also one of his generals. So they became this three-man dictatorship after they were successful at the Battle of Philippi. They defeated the Liberatores, or the conspirators, in 42 BC. After that, they divided up the government of the Republic between themselves, and Antony got leadership over the eastern provinces, including Egypt. And remember, I told you a little bit about Antony. Mark Antony was the one that was famous for having a relationship with Cleopatra, and she was the ruler of Egypt at the time. So after that, their triumvirate, as we kind of see in the Shakespeare play, that three-person group is already very tenuous. Antony doesn't respect Lepidus. Remember, he's already making plans to get rid of him later on because he's weak. There's all this strife, and it ends up being a civil war. So Antony tries to avert the civil war with Octavius by marrying his sister. And so he marries the sister, but he still has a love affair with Cleopatra, and they actually end up having 3 kids together. And so, because of that, a civil war breaks out. And before that happens, in 31 BC, they end up expelling Lepidus, like they planned, from that triumvirate. And then Octavius declared war on Antony and Cleopatra. He calls Antony a traitor, and they end up defeating Antony's forces at the Battle of Actium. Antony and Cleopatra flee to Egypt, and there they both commit suicide. So lots of suicide in these crazy Roman times. Um, and it ends up making Octavius the one and only ruler, because Lepidus has been kicked out already of this triumvirate. Antony's now dead, and so Octavius becomes the sole ruler, and he crowns himself emperor in 27 BC. And it's pretty interesting too, because some of the names that we will see in the Bible and in Jesus's time, some of the Roman emperors, like Emperor Caligula, Emperor Claudius, and Emperor Nero. We studied about Emperor Nero before with the Christian candles. Remember, he was like lighting up Christians for his garden. They all actually are descended down from Antony, because remember, Mark Antony married Octavius's sister. So Roman Emperor Caligula was Mark Antony's great grandson, and then Antony was also the maternal grandfather of Emperor Claudius, and he was the great grandfather to Emperor Nero, and also his uncle. I don't know, it's a weird family connection, but yeah. So looking at the family tree stuff, it's pretty interesting. They're all connected, but it was a very interesting story. I hope you guys enjoyed it. So this week is all about your test. So I hope that you guys have been taking very detailed notes. I mean, detailed. I'm not just read it, but if you see dates, make sure dates are in there, names, years, vocabulary, and not just from the play, but also the backgrounds, the bios. This test will also include the Plutarch bio on Julius Caesar, since it's all related. So look back over the videos, look at your notes, make sure that your notes are very thorough. If you want to kind of check in on how your friends are taking notes, just for an example, if I've made notes to you that your notes are not thorough enough, I would definitely seek out friends' help. Don't copy their notes, but just kind of see how they're taking notes. It's very important for you guys to understand how to look at text and see what's important for you to take notes. Not everything is going to be on the test, but you don't know what's going to be on the test, so it's always better to get more notes than less. So make sure that you are taking very good notes. So for this week, you're going to write a comment on the first video, and the comment is, what lessons have you learned in this Julius Caesar play, or in his bio, or anything about Julius Caesar, or this whole Roman government that they had. What lessons have you learned? What was new for you? And then you're going to post that by Sunday, and then you're also going to reply to 2 classmates' comments by Sunday as well. You are going to watch a bunch of videos that are summaries for Act 5. They're all 2 and 3 minute videos. Just watch all of them, and then include your notes on the Google Docs. You can put it all together on one. I'm just grading that as one assignment. And that one is actually due Thursday. I want to make sure you have those in your notes before your test on Friday. And then Wednesday, we're going to have a Jeopardy review. There's not going to be any crossword puzzle. It's just too much. There's just too much to put on a crossword puzzle. So your only review will be Wednesday. We're going to do by Skype Jeopardy game, 2 p.m. So make sure you're available by Skype. And then on Friday, you will have your Julius Caesar test. And so I'm going to have your parents make sure that you are not looking at anything except what I tell you to look at. And you're not asking for friends' home help or any of that kind of stuff, or looking things up on the internet. So just be prepared for that for Friday. And then the following week after that, we're going to start reviewing, because we never did our unit 12 to 14 tests. So it's going to be kind of a cumulative thing, everything we read from 12 to 14. And we'll review for that and then take that test next week as well. So just make sure you look at all your notes. And I hope that you've enjoyed the play and you got through it. I'm proud of you guys. I know this hasn't been easy. But now after we finish all of these tests, we're just going to do little stories here and there and just enjoy the literature that we're finding in the book. So I'm glad that this part is over because it's the hard part, and it's going to get a little bit easier from here, I hope. Okay, guys, take care and stay safe. Bye.